I guess we're going to give everyone a few minutes. Can you all hear me good?
You're quiet.
Okay. Is the volume down kind of low, or like maybe it's my voice? I'm monotone. Might be what's wrong. Let me put on a headset.
I can hear you fine right now.
Okay. Like, let me see if this makes. Okay, how about now? I hear some static.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Can you now? Hey, Barbara, could you hear me clearly now? I restarted my headset.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we have 1, 2, 3. It's only 4 of us. Harrison, could you do me a favor and send a message to a couple of them to let them know that I need them to hop on? Not sure if they forgot all the emailing we've done today.
I don't know if this is their problem, but I was having a hard time getting the city's website to work, and sometimes I pull the meeting from there.
Yeah, that's what I did. I actually manually entered the Zoom details today.
Oh dear. If anyone has cell number, sometimes a text is helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw Keith earlier. Okay, there you go.
Got a couple cell numbers, and I think I've got more I can look up. I should probably just add everyone to my phone at this point.
Okay, Keith is on. Well, I only need 5 to get started, so we can go ahead and get started, I guess, while we're waiting. Harrison could, let's see.
Yeah. I'll try to.
All right. 4:05. Okay, today on January 29th, 2025, at approximately 4:05 p.m., we're going to go ahead and call the Civilian Oversight Board meeting to order. And could you please call the roll?
Okay. Sierra Simro,
Present.
Derek Kilgore,
Present.
Harrison Sand, present. Bradley Ortega, Christine Brooks, Jennifer Whitaker,
Present.
Keith Rose,
Present.
Stephen Rovack. And do we have a new member? I wasn't sure.
I'm not 100% sure. I did get a request on LinkedIn for someone.
I think his name is Christian Griffin. Does that sound right?
Not sure.
If there are any other members present, please let me know. I'll go over the ones I know have not said. Bradley Ortega. Christine Brooks.
Mhm.
Stephen Roback. It seems like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members present.
Okay, thank you. So 5 men present. We do have a quorum at this current time, with the, of course, conditions, the fact that it's a 9-person board, but currently we have 8 actual board members that have been appointed to these positions. So we're going to go ahead and proceed through the agenda. The next item we have is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Our third item on the agenda is the approval of the October 28th, 2024 meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes that were sent out about a week ago? Maybe more than a week ago, something like that. If you all have had time to review those minutes, is there a motion to approve those October 28th, 2024 meeting minutes?
Yep, I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll
Is there a
second.
second? Thank
I'll
you.
second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries.
Chair?
Our
May I remind everyone when they're voting to turn their image on, to turn their video on, please?
okay. Thank you. Our let's see. Okay, our next item on the agenda is approval of joint COB and DFOB training session minutes. So with these, I know these were a little bit different and unique because these were training sessions, and I believe these were sent out for you all to review whether or not the attendance was correct, you were present, all of those things on these. So instead of going through doing each one separately, if you all are okay with grouping them together for us to approve the training minutes for November 18th, November 20th, and November 25th of 2024. Is there a motion to accept these training minutes?
I motion to approve these the minutes of these trainings.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. So our next item on the agenda is the chairperson's report, which the first section is general comments and observations, which I know I've sent out a lot of emails and information in reference to upcoming training sessions, as well as additional training that I think that would be highly beneficial for us to have, whether it's a refresher or for new board members to be involved with, which leads into kind of like the next item, well, the later item, the COB 2025 work plan. So I'm going to go to the next item, I guess, in reference past the general comments and observations. The next item, we have training and orientation schedule, which I am aware that all the board members have been sent a tentative training schedule in reference to what was provided by Nicole. I don't think Nicole is on, is she? Nope. So I know those dates we were talking about whether or not they were feasible or not, for them to start on February 3rd and for them to proceed for every Monday in February, of course, not President's Day, obviously, but I did see her today and we did discuss potentially having that session on a different day. But that training would be, I believe, and Dr. Milan, you could tell me if I was correct or not. I was advised that it would be in the 1520 market location on the second floor for those trainings, and that they would run from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. in order to get you all kind of like fast track through some of the information for your trainings. So then that way we'll have them completed. So then we could immediately go into our work plan for what our goals are for the upcoming term.
Oh,
Did you all have any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
So those are in person. Are they a specific different kind of training that just can't be done remotely?
From what I was told, those would need to be in person. I did ask about those, if they were virtual options were available. And as far as I know, as of right now, these are more hands-on training sessions from what I was told. And Commissioner, you could step in anytime to answer anything in reference to it.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
as of right now, we have approval to use the boardroom at the 1520 building for February the 3rd, February the 10th, and February the 24th. We're looking to see if we might carry the 4th training that first Monday in March, which would be March the 3rd. So again, it would be February the 3rd, February the 10th, February the 24th, and March the 3rd. As soon as we receive approval, we will send an email out to the board.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
And I know, go ahead.
If we're unable to make one of these trainings, will we be able to make it up at some other time? I'm going to be out of the country on February the 10th.
That's a good question. We will also follow up and determine if we can make that arrangement.
Thank you.
Okay, and I do know that we had at least, I want to say at least maybe one other board member, or maybe two. I know I did look through all the emails. I did see a few concerns regarding like certain dates. So that may be something, I guess, like once we lock in the location and the actual dates for you to send that final message, then we could just kind of figure out how we could work around whoever's not able to be present during that time and just kind of go from there.
Okay.
The next, where did my screen go? Okay, so as far as training and orientation schedule, of course, the next item, correspondence, do not have anything for that as of right now, in reference to any communication or anything, because obviously the stuff you all have right now is just mainly in reference to training due to, no one being able to hear any cases or anything as of right now. So I'm going to go to the next item, which is the COB 2025 work plan. And I'm not sure who's in charge of the Zoom, but would you all be able to share that on the screen so then everyone can see what the potential work plan is? This is just a draft version. And of course, like all the...
I can make you the host so you can share it if you got it.
Do I have it? Hold on, let me see.
Work plan. Does anybody have a work plan?
It was an attachment to the last email, if that's helpful.
Okay, thank you. I just have a whole lot of emails. That's all, you guys. Hold on, let me go through.
The email's titled Notice and Agenda for Wednesday, January 29. That helps.
Okay, thank you. Like I have a whole lot of emails. Give me 1 second. I had to send it to my email box to see if it pops up so then I can share my screen. And then of course, while I'm bringing that up, did all the board members that you all have a chance to actually review it and like see if there's anything you all want to add to it, anything you all want to course, I know there's going to be questions and discussions, obviously, but are there anything like specifically in reference to it that you all saw that you all want to like try to talk about now, or do y'all want to just wait till it pops up on the screen?
I didn't see anything.
Let's see.
Just wait until it pops up on the screen.
Yeah, this is the one time my email is going incredibly slow.
There it is.
Yay, thank you. Like the one time my internet failed me and my email.
No
Okay,
problem. I got you.
thank you. So, oh, that's the DFOB work plan. So there
Uh-oh.
should be a COB one for
All right.
us.
Let me see if I can find it.
It said that my email sent, but it just has not popped up yet.
No. CFO work plan. Nope.
Actually, now that I look at it, I think I was looking at the DFOB plan too. I don't think it's in the email.
So she sent it out. Let me pull up the date. Ruby sent it out on January 27th. It may have been jumbled. Oh, I have it. Okay, let's see.
Okay. Yes.
I have
I'm
it.
getting
I'm
it now.
about
Give me
to.
1 second.
Okay, I'm like, I have it up on my screen.
She found it too. She had put the wrong one up.
That's why you have it.
Yeah, my
Yes,
computer
he
moving
has it.
slow. Give me 1 second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, awesome. So just for everyone to see online, of course. So this is just a draft work plan that after my meeting with the commissioner and we discussed kind of like what the plans were as far as like what DFOB had met and kind of like discussed. Of course, we agreed that the COB would need some type of work plan to highlight various things and what our goals are going to be, as well as we talked about in a previous meeting our community engagement and various other things that we would want to do, and to be able to build upon those trainings as we go along based on case by case basis from the things that we encounter reviewing case files. So I don't want to go, I guess, over all of it obviously, but mainly just the objective portion of it, enhancing police accountability by monitoring and viewing allegations of police misconduct to ensure adherence to policies and ethical standards, promote transparency by fostering public awareness and understanding of police operations and CLB activities.
It's pretty enlarged, the screen.
So it just goes over a breakdown of like key activities. So of course, case review and recommendations. It goes over kind of like the basic objectives and review of case files, of course, by internal affairs, but then also the fact that we do provide those recommendations for disciplinary actions or policy changes, as well as tracking trends. Um, we did want to develop something along those lines to be within a certain time frame of us being able to provide some type of quarterly summary based on those reviews and things that we notice that could be a trend. So these are the months that we outlined for those reports to, or those quarterly summaries. Also, we discussed monthly public meetings where we could be able to go out into the community and actually be able to educate the public in reference to what our job is being on the board, like share actual updates, gather input, and address community concerns. And of course, that doesn't mean discussing any case matters with anyone, or if it is someone that actually has a complaint, because they have to go through the process, and you do not want to taint the process by, being involved with it. And then also allowing during, I want to say around the time I became the chairwoman, I did become contacted by a lot of people during that time. And the two police unions did offer to, I guess, be able to help moderate or assist with if we did want to be out in the public and host these type of forums to ensure that it is a safe environment, of course, for all of us there. But they did state that they were in full support of what we're doing and how that they wanted to help us, because we do want to offer that public feedback and do it around a certain time of the month where we can engage with the public and be able to educate them outside of us being in the closed board meetings reviewing cases and such. Another option, I think I'm on number 3, police ride-alongs for board members. During my time on the board, we did do police ride-alongs in the beginning of our training, which was very important because it helped us understand the firsthand experience and operations of how they perform their jobs, as well as being able to ask questions and their interaction with the community and such. So that was something I believe we talked about before when we held the meeting. And this was something that I did put on here, given that the training that the new board members are receiving is very different from the training that was originally created. Um, and just being able to have those questions available and have a better understanding when reviewing those case files and being able to kind of remember or recall certain things and just having, I guess, that open dialogue, if you will. Number 4, annual reporting and transparency initiatives. Of course, as some of you all, I know pretty much everyone knows about publishing an annual report on COB activities, case outcomes, and policy recommendations. I know that was something me and the commissioner discussed that previously had went on. I don't believe there has been a report. I want to say maybe in the last, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say it hasn't been one in maybe about 3 years now. So usually we are a part of that annual report. So one section of that report could be community outreach of how many areas we went to, how many meetings we went to, how many, um, just events or presentations may have been done, as well as trainings and things like that. So that is a portion of the annual reporting part. It also has host town halls to discuss. Um, it says report findings, but we're going to change that wording on there. That's why this is a draft, because of course we're not going to be actually discussing any open cases during that time. And then just a basic timeline, and all of this is modifiable, you all. So if you all want to, tweak it or make any changes, this is just a draft. Um, Number 5, training and capacity building. We definitely want to ensure that everyone is equipped with the necessary skills and knowledge. So we talked about biannual training for COB members on investigation techniques and different things, because the cases that we review have to do with special orders. It has to do with keeping up with the continuous changes that may happen within the department, because they're trained on de-escalation and all the different things. And I feel like that's stuff that we should know about in the event of the cases that we review. And of course, those have training sessions with approximate timelines as to when these would take place. Policy review and advocacy. Of course, this goes back to improve SLMPD policies based on data, case reviews, and community input. Review is like, of course, policies on use of force, body cameras, things of those sorts, where those would be formal reviews for like May and November. Mainly because in our documents of case reviews, we would have information like that on there, where you may have footage, maybe video, or just different things, of course, when in those files. Number 7, community engagement. Of course, we want to build trust and collaboration between law enforcement and the public. It's very important because in some situations, which I discussed with some of the staff that we do have, I know previously we had mediation services where sometimes in those heat of the moment discussions that may, or interactions that may take place between law enforcement and a citizen, it could be something that may have been a bad day or a misunderstanding, where sometimes that mediation is something that can happen during that time to resolve what the issue may have been if it was something that both parties feel like is resolvable. Um, and being able to participate in citywide events as well to promote what our roles are and services, because of course, we don't know, we're not going to sit on the board forever, right? So it's like, of course, you want to have other people that can become engaged with it or serve on a subcommittee, among other things, to be involved with the process of what we're doing. Performance indicators is case resolution timelines. This is something else we discussed. Well, I know I discussed with the staff regarding like the time frames. And of course, currently we do have a backlog of cases due to injunction and a bunch of other things that have taken place between then and now. We're trying to get through the training so then you all can start to hear those case files. But of course, having like some type of time window at least that we're trying to meet that timeline, so we're not leaving any cases by the wayside because of a time frame. And this is mainly for us as far as our documentation, public meeting attendance, policy adoption rate based on recommendations that we're providing for certain cases. And of course, these items under performance indicators will be things that would potentially be a part of that annual report at the end of the year, of course, with all the other things on the work plan. But also having training completion, of course, because right now you all don't have the ride along as part of your training. And then as I talked with Keith earlier about the training that we went through at the police academy with the simulator. We did the car driving simulator when I first came onto the board. We also did like the shooting interactive simulator, as if we were talking to a person telling them to, comply with what their order was, as well as taser in interactions of the effects of a taser, how invasive is it, what type of treatment do they receive, and just things of that sort as far as medical attention and care. So all of these things under performance indicators are a huge portion of what would be under that annual report, but then also being able to track it potentially like maybe monthly once we get rolling to kind of see where we are, of course, given the backlog of cases. Reviews and adjustments. Continuously improve the COB's processes and responses. Of course, as we go along through this, we're going to learn what works, what doesn't work, what we can improve on, what we need to change, as well as things that maybe come from community feedback. It may be something that someone suggests to us that may be something that we think is beneficial for us to contribute back to it or even put in our plan. And of course, just the basic conclusion of it, promoting accountability, transparency, and trust in law enforcement. Um, and just being able to engage all the stakeholders in the COB so we can make it more equitable for all. Did you all have any questions? I know it was a lot. I was trying not to read all of it. Did you all have any questions about it as far as like what you all reviewed? Because this is a draft. So
I've got 3 questions and comments. If that's okay.
yeah.
First for the key activities, 1, the case review and recommendations. Review cases forwarded by internal affairs. So are they going to forward us every case, or are these select cases from internal affairs that are being forwarded? Because I would prefer not to have someone that's already kind of looked through things to forward them. So are these all cases, or is this like a selection from them?
So is Miss or Council? Look, I'm like, let me make sure I can answer that. Miss Barber's still on here, right?
Okay,
I'm okay to answer that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I am going to call on our senior investigator, Isa. And actually, she was going to include this later on in the agenda. But we do have some current information related to internal affairs, which I believe will answer your question, Harrison. Louisa?
Good afternoon, everyone. In reference to your question, Harrison, I'll just give an update and give my report right now. In 2022, we had 126 complaints in our office were received. They were transferred with IED. In 2023, there were 194. and in 2024, there were 155. All of those complaints were forwarded over to Internal Affairs for Internal Affairs to conduct their investigation. We have received some of their completed investigations back in our office. What has been the protocol in the past, and Answar, can you pull up the IED completed, one of the IED completed reports, the form, please? Because what's happening right now, as we receive those complaints, the investigators in our office are reviewing what we're getting back from Internal Affairs. And what we're looking at is seeing whether or not we're getting completed investigative reports. That's part of our task. In the past, prior to 2022, when we received anything back from Internal Affairs, it was put on a, what you call it, on ARTS. ARTS is acronym for Administrative Transmittal Report, and that report was very comprehensive. It indicated that the complainant was interviewed. And I will also say this, when they did interview the complainant, they always had someone from our office, one of the investigators, present during the interview process. And it also indicated who the officers were and what type of disciplinary action they may or may not have received, and there was a finding. We will review anything that we receive back from Internal Affairs. There would be body cam, video of the interview, telephone calls, police reports, medical reports, cameras from the individual. If they had a situation, a domestic at home, and they had a camera, we received that. We reviewed everything, and then we would compile an investigative report that would be presented to the board. So what we did was, whatever investigations we were going to present at the board meeting, we would put them what they call a box, and you all will have opportunity to have access to that. And we would present the cases in which we were presenting during the board meeting. I'll go a step further. You will have an opportunity to review all of those complaints, and you'll also have an opportunity to review what the police department has given us, and you also review what our investigative report is, and you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. So we're in the process right now, putting, if you see on the screen right now, you see where we're looking at the complaints that we have received for 2023. And I said we received 194. So we're going in, we're looking at whether or not they're completed, not completed, what type of reports we received. Commissioner Dr. Barbara Milan will be having a meeting with the police department in the future. And one of the things we're going to bring out is the fact that we're finding that, number one, they're not interviewing all of the complainants, and that is a violation of their special orders. And they also are not contacting our office. As a matter of fact, we had an incident this week that came to our attention. Internal Affairs forwarded 3 completed investigative reports. And then they came back and said, oh, guess what? We need to interview the complainants. Well, the investigative report cannot be complete without interviewing the complainants. So they were doing that after the fact. So it's already documented that they are aware of the fact that we are actually going through with a fine-tooth comb and looking at. And when I say the total of all those complaints we're going to be looking at is 475 between 2022 and 2024. So that's going to be a monumental task, but it's a task that we're taking on, and we're going to make sure that things are reported properly.
And I just want the work plan to show that is we're not just doing, get what Internal Affairs shows us to review, but I would also like to know, how many Internal Affairs hasn't given us, which ones they haven't, and if they can tell us why not.
Well, I'll say this: that report that Answar just put up, you'll also see what all the complaints that we have received. So when we're going through, we got all from number 1 to like in 2023, it's going to be 194 complaints. So we're going to have
these include complaints that were sent to the police office and then forwarded to us, or only ones that were sent directly to us?
Everything. Okay. When someone contacts Internal Affairs, they forward them over to us. When the police officers come in contact with a citizen on the street, they have our card and they send them to
Okay.
us. We have our barcode on the back of the card. A person can take a picture of that barcode and come to us. So we have, people are not aware, we have 3 methods in which a person can receive a complaint. They can either get one in the mail if they call our office and call the area code 314-657-1600, or they can ask us to mail them a copy in the mail. We'll take their address and mail it to them. They can walk in. We're located at 1520 Market, room 4029, from 8 to 5, and they can fill out a complaint here, or they can go online to our website, which is COBSTL at STLOUIS-MO.gov. So if they do that, they can also, we have 3 methods in which to receive a complaint. Keith, I see your hand up.
Yeah,
Uh,
just to clarify, Louisa, you just answered Harrison's question of, do these numbers include complaints that go in a different way, like maybe directly to internal affairs? I just want to know for my understanding.
If internal affairs receives a complaint, they forward that over to us.
Correct.
And
Does
I
the-
also say this as well, if a person emails the mayor's office, the
Great.
mayor's office also forwards all those complaints to us as well.
What about investigations into officer misconduct that are generated within the department? So for example, there was a news story a few months ago about officers who maybe didn't respond when someone had been shot or shot himself. And according to that story, it was found by a supervisor reviewing footage. Is that something that would also go to your division, or is that not forwarded?
We did not receive that. I do know what you're talking about, because I will say this: in the past, there was a part of the previous ordinance that said that whistleblower workplace complaints would act to get those. So to my knowledge, we have not received that.
So are you saying that if a supervisor is randomly reviewing body cam footage, or if one officer sees something his partner does and takes it back to other police officers, that wouldn't be something that you would be looped in
I'll
on?
put it like, if that individual wants to contact our office, and because they do have the opportunity to go online, or like I said, in person, or to call our office, they can, or email the mayor's office, they can actually forward that to us. As it stands right now, in the past, we would give whistleblower complaints, but we have not received any this year so far.
Right. So just to clarify though, my question is
We did
internal
not.
affairs sending over those kind of complaints? And I guess your answer is they're not sending those over.
No, well, I'll say this: internal affairs may not have got that. I do not know. It might have been another department to receive that. But I'll say this: any complaint that internal affairs has been receiving since 2021, they have forwarded all of those complaints to our office.
Have you ever received a complaint that was generated initially because one police officer saw another police officer do something they thought was misconduct?
Off the top of my head, I can only think of one incident, but I don't know what year that was.
Then it sounds to me, maybe Chairman Simrel, that we should probably look back at the ordinance and see if maybe we're not being sent, because I feel like those might be some of the largest systemic problems that we might want to know more about. And I feel like the people who are in the department might know most about where some of the problems are coming up. So I would hope that we as a board look back at that and see if maybe we're also supposed to be getting those complaints.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that, I guess, once you said it, because I thought about, if I'm not mistaken, it was what, Executive Order number 79 that she signed, that what authorizes all of the complaints to be automatically sent to the COB anyway. So I guess I am curious as to, and I mean, that may be a different maybe situation, I guess, in reference to the information that I have seen in reference with them no longer working for the department and all these other things, right? But that is a question, I guess, that we could ask to get just further clarification and detail to make sure we aren't missing anything. Did you all have any?
Keith, to be clear, and Louisa mentioned this, we have an appointment with Captain McCloskey on February the 5th. And I would like to take your question to that meeting And is the question, are we receiving officer to officer complaints?
Thank you for clarifying. That, yeah, would be a great way to phrase it.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. Thank you. We'll follow up.
Thank you. I have two more questions / comments about the word plan. That's okay. In the fifth one, the one about training, key activities 5, I just want to make sure that it says in here that partner with SLMPD to provide these trainings. I also think it would be beneficial if we had non-SLMPD trainings every year too. So it's not only with the St. Louis, Missouri Police Department, but with other organizations outside of there, because we're supposed to be, impartial. So we should have some community organizations doing trainings too.
Yeah, absolutely. We can add both of those because I mean, the only reason I put that in here was just because for us to understand what they have to go through,
Makes sense.
obviously. But yeah, we could create a I thought it was something on here with that, but maybe not. Yeah, we could add that on here. Just send it to me in an email, or if you want to just add it in.
Okay. And then my last comment / question is on the policy review and advocacy portion. At our last training that we had with, I forget who it was, I had specifically asked if we would receive the policies and procedures from the St. Louis Police Department, and I was told we were not going to be able to receive those. I don't know how we're going to be able to review policies if we don't receive those, but I think that's something that we should be receiving still.
So from my previous understanding of the cases we will review, and Louisa, you could chime in on this. I think, yeah, she's still on here. Previously, when we would review cases, I know the investigators would pull the information regarding the special order that was alleged to be violated with the actual complaint when it was time for us to review it. Because their special orders, I mean, I'm sure, and Luis could tell me, or Commissioner, you could tell me whether or not if that's something that could be provided to the board, because last I know special orders was probably like this, but I know usually they were always provided with the actual cases we were looking at.
And that is one of the issues that we have. Like I said, we're reviewing what we're getting, and there was a time we used to give what I call ARTS, was the administrative transmittal report, and the administrative transmittal report would identify the order that they were looking at when they were reviewing and investigating the complaint. What's happening now, we're not getting the ARTS anymore. We're getting what you call summaries, and the summaries are not detailed, and we're getting IA pros. Now, IA pros did give the name of the officers, but the summary report may or may not give the name of the officer. So that's one of the things we're going to discuss, because we're not getting the information we used to get. We used to, every time they sent over a investigative report from internal affairs, they always included the special order that they were looking at and any other law that they were reviewing in order to make their decision. That's not happening.
And the thing is, I know I've asked about this. I even put a sunshine request in about this, and I personally put it in, and I was told that the policies and procedures are not all public because there's some things that they worry about for safety for officers, which I understand. If they're not public and they don't feel comfortable giving it to us, in public spaces, perhaps at least having, all the written policies and procedures available for us to review in a government office that we could go to look at.
I agree. And one of the things that helped us out when we were getting all that information before, we were able to compile a book in our office because we knew what they were looking at. And we could also, when we would send complaints over, we were more, you could say, assertive, because we could look at their special orders that they had sent us and say, hey, we're looking at this particular thing based on your special order. So we have not received an updated one, I do believe, in quite some time. And I'll say this too as well, we have in the past reached out to the training academy, because that's where officers begin their career. And we've also asked the training academy in the past for a copy of what they may be using to train the officers and what type of special arts they're looking at, we have not received anything from them either.
And I guess I have a question with that because I do know that we use the Dropbox, which, of course, like we all had to provide like confidentiality agreements and stuff like that for that information. Would it be possible to have that put in the Dropbox where it's not a physical copy, but it's still secure within, like the official box with our city emails?
That is something that I'm sure that the commission will bring up with her meeting, because we do need to have those special orders in our office. We do not need to be dependent upon internal affairs or SLMPD in order to get that
Right.
information.
Right. And I agree.
I mean, and if we're only getting what they give us too, we don't know if it violates something else. Because,
Well, I'll
you
say
don't know
this
what you
for
don't know.
the investigators are very aggressive
They're
in that
probably
matter.
good.
We
Yeah.
have several individuals here who were former police officers. So therefore, based on their past training and their knowledge, and also individuals like myself and Answar, we come from other areas for corrections and law enforcement. So we have been able to go out and look at federal law, state law, and we are very assertive in compiling the information we need. And when we send information over to internal affairs, they do respond. That's one of the reasons I believe that they contacted our investigator and said, "Oh, we didn't interview these 3 people," because they have come to the conclusion that we are actually looking at everything they've given us. And I will say this, it's kind of like they have dumped a lot of stuff, because for a period of time after the injunction was in September 2022. So basically from September 2022 to September 2023, we didn't receive any investigative reports. So when they did start sending us that information, because Investigator May had reached out to them and said, "Hey, we're not receiving anything." During that time frame, they were actually doing investigative reports, but they were not contacting all the time the individuals, the complainant. So when they did, they started sending us like 30 and 40 complaints a week. So he's like, bam, 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 bam. So that's why you have not received this list that we have right now, because we're going through it, but we have gone through some of the investigative reports received from them. We have compiled investigative reports to present to you all. So when you have an opportunity to start hearing the investigation, we are prepared and we are ready.
And Louisa, we'll be able to email the board the document that you're referencing this evening.
Yes, right now the investigators are going through, because like I said, you're looking at 194 complaints that received in 93 and 155 in 2024. We're looking at all the investigative reports that they've sent back to us. So we are going through and we're analyzing them. You will get a copy of the report itself that will let you know where we're standing. So I will have to also generate a investigative report for the month. So we'll be doing, it'll be tables and charts, basically saying we reviewed these many complaints, and statistically, this is the number that has this information as opposed to that information. So you will see that compiled report in the month.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Ms. Millen, for the prompt offering of that information. That's really helpful. For us, especially for the new members, I think I would really appreciate it if any of the documents you're ever sending us are closed records, if that could be clearly noted on them. And then maybe we should assume that everything that's not noted as such is an open record. Ms. City Councilor, does that sound accurate, or how do you think that should go?
Well, then we would need, my office would need to see it first before it goes out. So I would just make it clear, like, not to include me with everyone if we were to make that determination in advance.
Okay. So are you proposing then that we should assume everything is closed until it's labeled public?
Well, I don't know exactly. I mean, right now, this is an academic discussion. In order to determine if something is open or closed, I would have to see it,
Well, just to start, we will send Barbara Louisa's report, and that will be a start. And if you can provide us an opinion, if it is a closed record or an open record, we can convey that to the board.
Understood.
Thank you.
All right, Harrison, did you have another question?
No, that was all of mine. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Did anyone have any other questions, I guess, in reference to the work plan? And I do want all the board members to feel free to make suggestions and adjustments to it for different things that you think should be on here. Of course, when I drafted it, I didn't want to overwhelm it with too many things, but also leaving room for you all to add different things to it as we go along. So
Madam
I
Chair,
will, yes,
if I may,
yes.
this is the draft.
Mhm.
Is it the will of the board to make a decision on the draft at an upcoming meeting or next month's meeting? How would you like to deal with that?
Well, that was the plan, for them to see it and for us to, of course, be able to like visualize it and make whatever adjustments. And then hopefully by the next board meeting, yes, to adopt it as our actual plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would
Yes.
suggest some edits. So I know, as you were telling me earlier today, how helpful the police ride-along and other simulations were for you, especially in understanding policing and the decisions they have to make sometimes very quickly while doing their jobs. I also remember, though, whenever the Board of Aldermen's Public Safety Committee was drafting the most recent version of the governing ordinance, the sponsor, Alderman Aldridge, specifically mentioned that they were changing some of the training requirements. And what he cited was some history where maybe not individuals like you who were part of the original board, but maybe people who were coming on later on were not being able to navigate the scheduling of the trainings. And so because they were so onerous and because the police department itself was in charge of scheduling those things, they took them out of the requirements. And the other thing that I believe I remember the Board of Aldermen discussing at the time was they didn't want the board to just get training from the police perspective, right? And so I just want to, I hope that whenever we're thinking about the wording in our plan, we're not assuming that the ride-alongs will become mandatory because that was specifically like taken out of the ordinance. And also, I would also like to pair this in some way with trainings from experts on civil liberties and civil rights, because I think that those words were put into the most recent ordinance. And I think that it was the board's intent that those be issues that we also have a better understanding of. And so I would specifically propose that under item 5, training capacity building, we would amend the sentence partner with SLMPD to provide workshops on de-escalation to be partner with SLMPD and community organizations to provide workshops on, and keep the de-escalation bias training, add the words civil liberties, civil rights, and then keep best practices. Does that make sense?
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead.
I'm sorry, Keith, which point were you point 5?
Number
Gotcha.
5.
Okay,
Sorry, I
thank you.
I can't share my screen, but I have a piece of paper. So I
Yeah.
wanted to change the sentence, the partner with SLMPD to include community organizations, and also the words civil liberties, civil rights.
I think
Gotcha.
that was the
Thank you.
same section Harrison was on too, if I'm not mistaken. I think
Right.
that was the same number you had.
Mhm.
So yeah.
He's the one who got me thinking about the partnering part.
Yeah. And then of course, like when I went back and as I was reading it, I was like, yeah, there was some stuff left off. But that's why I presented the draft today. So we weren't exactly, can't remember everything, but I'm doing good. But absolutely, I agree with that. And then to answer your question in reference to the training that we previously had, when we first got started in the original ordinance highlighted the Citizens Academy. And of course, like during COVID and when we had other board members to join the board, of course, they were not holding Citizens Academy, but the Citizens Academy they created for the Civilian Oversight board members at that time, because DFOB wasn't in existence yet, we actually went through an accelerated version of Citizens Academy that was tailored specifically for the cases we would be reviewing in reference to officer involved shootings, um, taser incidents, all the different things, right? As far as us driving in the vehicle with the simulator, the interactive layout with the, I guess, kind of like a simulator weapon, talking to the person, trying to de-escalate the situation, the taser exercise, the ride-alongs. We did all the different things, which helped us. But of course, with the new legislation that came through, the new ordinance, all those things were changed. Citizens Academy was removed out of the equation completely, which I thought I was really, I guess, kind of caught off guard by that part, only because they did go over things like our like civil rights. They went over showing us video footage and information as far as like um, things that they have to do and different practices, because of course they still have to follow state law. So it was a lot of additional information that happened in that Citizens Academy. So that's the only reason why I was kind of like, this would be greatly beneficial, not mandatory, but it would be incredibly beneficial for when you review the cases. Because of course, over the last decade, I've seen a lot of what I was actually shown in the actual Citizens Academy. So it helped me give a very fair review of what I was looking at. So I just felt like it would be incredibly beneficial for board members that are wanting to get that time in, whether if it's just an hour or so, to have that under your belt for when you do encounter those cases. But not mandatory at all, but just kind of making it optional.
I totally agree. I'm happy to have that option.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to yield over to our next item, which is the commissioner report. And I yield to Commissioner Dr. Milan.
Well, wonderful. I am just delighted to be your new commissioner. I am enjoying my job. It's only been 1 month. I must say that we have a wonderful, dedicated staff. On some occasions, they have been hopping in the office because of requests that I have made or outside requests, but our staff has been very responsive. I wanted to speak to you about the vision statement. And I really support an approach that is participatory. And I would like to recommend, as I'm recommending to the DFOB, that we engage our boards in constructing the vision statement, because it will be an our statement, not a me statement. But our vision sets forth our inspiration as it relates to goals for the future. It would guide our efforts in terms of the sense of direction that we take. Traditionally, vision statements have 3 parts. It explains what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. So the vision statement and the mission statement both have to work hand in hand. So, Madam Chair, I would like to request at the next meeting that we spend some time in the facilitated discussion to capture the members of the board's thoughts, recommendations in terms of the vision statement. We would use that process so that it would result in something very tangible that we establish in terms of for the division of civilian oversight. The other thing, I've been looking at various websites of civilian boards. One of the websites that captured my attention is the Chicago website, which features a dashboard. Our charge is to support building trust within the community. And I believe that with establishing and adding a dashboard to our website, that we will be able to provide real-time data access. That data would focus on the complaints. It would look at allegations of misconduct. It would look at the type of allegation. It would provide some information about demographics. And we could even identify, I'm hoping, is this a self-identified complaint? Is it an anonymous complaint? That type of information. So you're going to hear this evening from our staff member, Dotlin, who has been working feverishly and pulling together our reports from 2022 all the way up to 2024. It is volumes of information and data, and I have requested that Dotlin, we won't provide those reports tonight, but they're very extensive, and she's going to give you an overview on what those reports consist of. So Dotlin, can you provide the information about our annual and quarterly reports that you're formulating?
Thank you, Dr. Mylon. Hi, everyone. I'm Dotlin Bedesi. I'm the Government Services Analyst for the Civilian Oversight. Since my tenure began with the Division of Civilian Oversight, I have been deeply engaged in the overall process of gathering data. These data is for analyzing and synthesizing from various sources to develop meaningful analytics. These analytics are fundamental to the reports that we will generate, and we have generated quite a few. Some are still in draft mode. These reports offer insights into key trends and patterns. Today, I am pleased to provide an overview of the reports we have been diligently working on and the processes involved in their preparation. Reports that we have prepared are currently being reviewed for publications, or COB fourth quarter for 2023, which ended December 30th of 2023. This report covers the status of the entire time frame of the COB's operation through December 30th of 2023. There's also a COB first quarter report for 2024 ending March 31st, 2024. And it provides analytics and findings specific to the first quarter of 2024. Other reports in draft mode are COB quarterly report ending in June 30th of 2024, COB quarterly report ending September 30th, 2024, and data collection for reports ending December 31st, 2024. Each report includes analytics and insights based on key categories. Some examples that we will see in those reports are community outreach, training metrics, complaints received, complaint status, and demographics, to name a few. The overview process includes the data collection, data cleaning and organization, data manipulation and analysis, compilation and drafting of reports, review and finalization, and then presentation, preparation. We have faced some key challenges, and there are some resolutions since Dr. Mylon has come on board. Staffing is one such example. We were short-staffed at one point. The latter part of 2024, more staff came on board. So we have more hands on deck to help with the compiling of data so it can be studied. Variability in data sources is also a challenge. We're having ongoing conversations to standardize data collection protocols to enhance consistency. Another challenge we face is the limited data in certain areas, and there has been ongoing supplemental gaps with publicly available information and cross-referencing multiple sources. We want to ensure that the reports being presented for civilian oversight represent a significant collaborative effort to ensure transparency, accountability, and continuous improvement within the system. These documents provide a robust foundation for informed decision-making and oversight. Once these reports are approved, they will follow the guidelines established for publication and posted on the city's website for the Division of Civilian Oversight. That ends my overview.
Okay, thank you, Dodlin. That concludes my report. Just prior to the meeting, I did email you a copy of my written report. So you will be receiving a written report from me on a monthly basis. That report will be more timely to your attention in the future. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll go on to the next item, which I have is 7, which we do not have anything currently to go into closed session pursuant to section 610-021. So we're going to skip over that as well as the vote to return to open session. And we're going to go to the next item, which is public comments. Do we have anyone here in reference to any public comments today? Mr. Chasnoff. So we'll go ahead and let you speak. I don't think I have anyone else that needs to speak, so I don't see any other hands, so I'll give you 5 minutes. Oh, you're
You're
still
muted,
muted.
John.
You're muted.
Okay, how's that?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you now.
Fantastic. Okay, so yeah, I have several items on my mind that I'd love to discuss with you. So first off, about the use, the work plan, I guess this is my biggest point of the day. About the work plan and the process that's set up in your procedures and in the work plan for you all to turn complaints over to internal affairs. They do an investigation and then you review the investigation. That was the old model, but the new ordinance lays out a completely different system. And it's my contention that the city has been in violation of that ordinance now for quite some time. It says that the new system needs to be in place during a 12-month. So there has to be it allows for a 12-month transition period after the bill goes into effect. So if you start counting, after the injunction, we're well past that 12-month period. And what the ordinance says is that investigations are to be done by the Civilian Oversight Board with very few exceptions. If they are minor administrative violations, like a uniform is incorrect or something like that, somebody maybe isn't wearing their badge, those minor things will be reviewed, will be handled by internal affairs, but every other complaint is supposed to be handled by the Civilian Oversight Board. So it's kind of amazing to me that we've gone this long and still the procedures and the work plan don't reflect the ordinance. I've been told in the past that there just wasn't enough staff to do that, to actually implement the ordinance. But if that's the case, the budget process is, right upon us, the budget process. And I think it should be part of your work plan to advocate for the proper staff so that the ordinance can be properly implemented. I just have to say, if I were an officer and I were disciplined at this stage, I would file a lawsuit claiming that the discipline was in violation of the ordinance. And I mean, can you imagine the havoc that would wreak in the police department, plus what it would do to the credibility of the COB? So I think that's a really important issue. Secondly, I wanted to bring up the fact that several months ago, I wrote you all a letter claiming that there had been a sunshine law violation when you all went into closed session, again, in my mind, in violation of the ordinance. And so I haven't heard anything about that. I understand that some of that, if you were to discuss my email, it would probably be in closed session, but I haven't received any notification that that members of the COB received that communication, which I would really like to know that. And when you're in closed session discussing it, maybe you could also consider what you can tell me about, that you could tell me that you've considered my email, that you have decided not to act on my email. There's various things that I think could come out of closed session that you could let me know. And I think that was a serious sunshine law violation and really should be addressed. So I'm hoping to hear back from you on that. If I have a little more time, I would say this, that in terms of training from other than the police department, when the COB was created, the Coalition Against Police Crimes and Repression put together an extended spreadsheet with suggested trainings and organizations in St. Louis that we thought could do those trainings, involving the NAACP and the ACLU and other organizations who have expertise on certain areas that you might find educational. And so I've made that spreadsheet available to the COB on several occasions, but I could do that again. Lastly, well, Keith raised the question of police to police complaints, and I'm almost positive that when the state acted to clarify the Civilian Oversight Board enabling legislation on the state level, they made it mandatory that you all just hear civilian complaints. So I think that that's the definitive statement on that, but please double check me on state law. And then I'm greatly concerned that you all are not getting policies or having trouble getting policies from the police department, because the ordinance states clearly on several occasions that you all are to receive all policies and procedures that are needed for you to fill your job. So I'm hoping that part of your work plan is that the ordinance be properly implemented, that you see that as one of your primary objectives in this first year. And that includes, getting the investigations where they need to belong, but also getting the cooperation from the police department that's required by the ordinance. I think that should be part of your work plan.
Thank you. Were there any other additional public comments? Okay, seeing none. I do not see any hands raised currently. I will move on to the next item, which is new business, which from my understanding, we do not have any current new business. And the next item is our next meeting. Let me pull up a calendar to look. Because I do know that there will be training on the 3rd. And correct me, Commissioner, the 3rd, the 10th, and the 24th, and March 3rd, potentially.
Yes, hold on, please. Of February. Yeah. Yes, that's
Yes.
correct. The 3rd, the 10th, the 24th, and that first Monday in March.
Okay.
Those are the
So,
proposed dates. I'm just waiting to get the green light that we can go ahead and proceed with that.
okay.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes.
going
Yes.
back to the comments by Mr. Chasnoff, can you forward me the letter that you wrote, and also forward, if there's a spreadsheet regarding training recommendations, can you forward that to my attention, please? Thank you. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So, board members, given that these are the tentative dates for training, we'd like to get a meeting in sometime during this time frame, which I know previously we had discussed a Monday, but of course, given that the Mondays will be consisting of training, is there another day during the week or during this month of February that may be better than others?
I'm good with most days of the week as long as I know ahead of time. Though I will be out of town the 10th through the 24th. I mean, 10th through the 21st.
I was about to say, wait a minute. Okay. The 10th through the, you said 10th through the
Yeah.
24th. I'm like, wait a minute, Harrison.
21st. 21st.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, the 10th through the 21st. Okay.
Yeah, it's a decent amount of time.
Let me look at the 25th. So how do you all feel about that last week? Maybe like the 25th or something. And then is Miss Louisa still on here? Does the DFOB meet? Are they in the last week of the month on the Thursday, or are they at the third one? Because of course I try to avoid when their meetings are.
Well, right now, you're the one who's in, see, their next meeting will be in February, but it's it's toward the beginning of February.
Okay.
It's scheduled on February the 11th.
Okay. All right. So I know I want to avoid the 10th through the 21st since Harrison won't be available. And I guess since we usually have it around like the last week of the month, if you all are able to do, I guess potentially if it's like the 25th, 26th, or 27th, but of course I kind of want to try to keep it between not too far away, Tuesday or Wednesday. But you all could kind of tell me which day.
I could definitely do the 25th or the 26th.
Okay. Jennifer?
I'm flexible.
Okay. Oh, so the 25th or the 26th works for you as well?
Yes.
Okay. Keith?
I can do both of those for now.
Okay. And Harrison, are those good for you?
Yep. Both of those are fine for me.
Okay. So I'm just going to double check my schedule. I'm fine with either or. I prefer probably doing the 26th only because the middle of the week. And I guess it'd be a Wednesday. So, okay. So I guess you all could document, I guess, the 25th or the 26th, and then we could, myself and Derek, I guess, and Harrison will work with staff on sending out that information to fully confirm it.
Is that going to
Unless
be
you all,
4 p.m. and virtual or in person? Sorry.
uh, sorry, I would like to kind of stick with, I guess, virtual right now, unless you all are wanting to meet in person as of right now. The Keith, the Jennifer, which one do you all have like a preference for which one? Because I know we've only been able to get in person once, and then I know when I was down there the other day, there was a game or something, so the garage was totally blocked off.
Virtual is fine for now.
Okay, so we could just leave it virtual for right now, and then so it's okay for us to set it for February 26th, virtual for 4:00 p.m.
And how long do you anticipate it lasting?
We've been on here a little bit over an hour. So I believe we should I guess probably be around like an hour or so because you all are still being training. So that'll be our time to kind of go over some of the information and the information that's going to be sent to the commissioner and looking at the plan and just different things, changes that you all want to make, as well as whatever the staff has for us as well. So I'm estimating about an hour, maybe a little over, but no more than that. Okay. So we can adjourn today for at 5:19 p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second that motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Thank you all. We'll see you all next month on February 26th.
All right.